That's a rough looking crowd, I'll tell you that. And they started running in. I was like, what in the world's going on? I really didn't know what they did to Calvin. I was a little nervous there. I didn't know what she was going to come. Oh well. Actually, the reason I'm here tonight is because right in late July, or I guess more toward the end of the summer, maybe in early August, Dustin Johnson and the state officer team called me up and said, hey, we want you to do something for us. I was like, oh God, what the world have I done to get myself into trouble with these guys? No offense. But they said, can you give a keynote speech at Roar? And I was like, well, Roar. Done one of those. Been to one of those. Yeah, I might be able to pull something off. And they said, well, we want it to be, a pretty good time. We want you to fill a gap. And I was thinking, oh, you want me to give a speech this long? I might be able to teach you some circus acts to go along with your theme. So I'm thinking, well, maybe, hey, if I can teach you all some circus acts, I'll have you all doing flips and circles and all that a bunch of years before the night's over. But then I was thinking maybe something a little more appropriate. And I started to think about whenever I was a regional officer, and I actually started thinking about before I was a regional officer, when I was just a freshman, I really didn't know what FFA was. And I always thought that being a regional officer was like the best thing ever because, to be a state officer, that was kind of in the back of my mind. I was like, that was way too far to reach. To be a regional officer, that was something I could shoot for. But I could always remember our regional officers, they would act silly. I don't know if I wanted to be a part of the team act silly. They were always out of their comfort zone, stepping out of the box. And I really didn't know if I could pull that off. But I remember going to my very first state convention, and as soon as the music came on for the state officers to run in, everybody on the delegate floor was up, screaming, hollering, screaming as loud as they could. I mean, the energy in the room was just out of this world. And I was thinking, you know what? Yeah, that's right. I'm going to try to do that. And then my junior year came around, and I went to state convention. And the energy in the room was a little bit different. And I was thinking, well, maybe that's something that I'm just not used to. Maybe I'm looking at it from a different perspective. So the next year came, it was time for me to run for regional office, and I did. And I was elected the treasurer of Lincoln Trail region. Yeah. They've already tuned me out, so they already know that well. But and I can remember the energy on the floor. It was back to what I knew it to be. It was up, it was high. I was excited to be there. Everybody was excited to be there. And I began to think back. As regional officers, is that our only role? Is to bring energy to state convention? What else was I supposed to do as the treasurer for the Lincoln Trail region? Because I assure you, if the finances of the Lincoln Trail region were left in my hands, there wouldn't be a Lincoln Trail region. But I began to think, where have we lost that energy? Especially the year I ran for state office. It was different. Did we lose who we were? Have we become something different as regional officers than what traditionally had been known for? I mean, Kentucky's always been known for, especially at the national level, for being a rowdy bunch. And not in a bad way, but in a good way. A bunch that everybody gets fired up about. I mean, you all been to camp. It's awesome to come into camp, and the energy level's so high. And I was thinking, are we losing it? But before we can realize what we really can become, maybe we have to figure out, do we really believe in what our task is as regional officers? Maybe you don't know what your task is as regional officers. Maybe nobody's ever told you. Hopefully you'll learn that this weekend. Or I began to think, I believe it. But that's not where it started. I didn't really believe it. Where did it start? And it all started because I felt like the organization, the FFA, the largest youth-led organization in the entire world, was a place where I really belonged. I mean, this was for me. I grew up on a farm in New Haven, Kentucky. This organization was going to change my life. Maybe. And I realized that before I could even belong to such a great organization, I had to accept who I was. And a part of accepting who you are is being able to define you. Not letting anyone else define you, but letting you define you. Now, over the last couple of weeks or month or so, after they asked me to give the speech, I was talking to several different FFA members, some through Facebook, some people that I really didn't know that well. People I really didn't get to know that well as a state officer. I asked them, well, what do you think defines you? And I got the textbook answer. Success defines me. Knowledge defines me. Class clown defines me. Then I got the other side of it. Lack of self-confidence defines me. Lack of self-assurance defines me. Fear defines who I am. And I began to think, well, maybe that's why as regional officers we become
become a group that's scared because our members are scared. What are we scared of? Are we scared of stepping out of the box, dressing up like a clown, and walking into the auditorium of FFA camp? I'd be scared to do that. No offense there. But because we were able to step out of our box, we may be able to get through to somebody else. That's what I've realized. But before you can even step out of the box, you really do have to accept it. Are you afraid to step out of the box? I know some regional officers that I've talked to in the past. I don't know anybody about you. I know you all pretty well. You seem like a pretty lively bunch, but maybe deep down inside you are afraid to step out of that box, that comfort zone that really makes you you. There's one thing when it comes to failure. You can't be afraid of it. Because if we lay down and we're afraid to fail, we lose our potential. If we don't step out of the box, then what are our failures going to look up to? See, the neat thing about being a regional officer, I really wish somebody would have told me this whenever I was there. You all have the most influence on FFA members than any other office held in this organization. You all have more leadership responsibilities than a state officer and a national officer combined, because you all see members every single day. So are you afraid to step out of the box? Are you afraid to fail? I know some people that didn't let that get them down. As a matter of fact, Vince Lombardi said that the difference between a successful person and others is not the lack of knowledge. It's not the lack of strength. It's the lack of will. If you're not afraid to fail, then you have a will. You have a will to go on. You have a will to get back up, brush yourself off, and move forward. One man that I know, because he was not afraid of his failure, because he had the will to go on, changed the course of American history in a drastic way. In the middle 1800s, this man was a failed soldier. He was a failed farmer. He was a failed real estate agent. And at the age of 38, he went to work for his dad as a handyman. Little did he know, in the next few years, he would have the opportunity to push forward and change the nation. His name was Ulysses S. Grant. One individual that you all may be more familiar with that's given hope to a lot of young athletes. This man can be called the greatest athlete of American history. Was cut from his high school basketball team as a sophomore. And after he won his 4th national title, the media asked him, "Why are you successful?" And he simply looked into the camera and he said, "I've missed over 9,000 shots in my career. 300 times I've been asked to take the game-winning shot. 300 games I've lost in my career. And 26 times have I been asked to take the game-winning shot and I missed. I failed over and over and over again. And that is why I'm successful." His name was Michael Jordan. And one that probably everybody in this room is very familiar with. If you like cartoons, I know you'll know this guy by his last name especially. Was fired from a newspaper because they said he lacked imagination and originality. And his name was Walt Disney. All 3 of these individuals failed at what they were later known to be the most successful in their actual career path forward. See, they were able to step out of the box. They had the will to go on. They knew that they belonged in that profession. And because of that, they kept pushing forward. And that's what you all have to do. As regional officers, you have to do that. You can't let failure be an option. Because if it is an option, I guarantee everybody in your chapter will hang their head and say, "Well, defeat's the option." That's the easy way out. You can't do that. Because if we're going to continue to be the largest youth-led organization in this world, if we're going to continue to change people's lives at a high school level, you all have to be strong. You have to have the will to carry on. You have to find out why you belong in this organization. And if you find out why in the world you belong here, why you're here this weekend, you'll find a reason to believe.